Alrighty, let some people join in here. I know it's kind of early on a Saturday, about 9 o'clock here, but hoping some of the people over on the other side of the pond are going to be awake. So I'll give you guys a minute to get in. I am going to get some gloves on and stuff. See you in a minute. Hey, walk away for a minute. Now there's 13 people here. Cool. Got my gloves. So I have done some minor looking at the damage from this crash. For those of you who don't know, I'll explain that in just a minute. Did a little bit of looking, haven't really diagnosed anything, so I'm gonna use this live stream to just kind of show you guys my process for figuring out what the damage is, you know, seeing what I need to replace, seeing what parts I need, things like that. Now that we have a few people in here, just so you guys know about what happened, we have dual right turn lanes in the U.S. This might be mirrored because I'm using the back camera on my phone, but I was in the far right lane and we drive on the right side here. So someone cut into my lane, presumably didn't see me, you know, honest mistake, but they cut in really, really quickly. I had to hit the brakes and kind of steer out of the way. At that time, there was really not much room in between my car and the curb. So my car collided with the curb, and at minimum, the tie rod popped out, which is why you probably saw that little, that thumbnail had my tire all askew. Tie rod is definitely out, so that is one thing I'm definitely gonna have to either replace, repair in some way. But the kind of icing on the cake with this is, had that guy stopped and we kind of talked about it, probably wouldn't have been a huge deal. You know, we could have exchanged insurance and gotten this all sorted out. He rolled down his window, looked at me like he was gonna, you know, help me out or at least talk to me and you know, make this right. He smiled, waved, and just drove away. So I have a picture of his car and his license plate. Technically that makes this a hit and run here in the United States, and so pass that along to the police. Ideally, I want to talk to the company. I'm not trying to extort anybody or anything like that. I just want them to pay for the repairs to my car. But we'll see how that goes, and all I can say is that if they decide to you know, screw me over, there is the court of public opinion, and hopefully, you know, you guys will be on my side on that one. So this episode is not going to have a lot of me answering questions on it, at least not at the beginning, because I do have to unload this sucker. But before we unload it, I did want to bring you guys around the trailer. I don't think I've ever shown you guys the trailer. So let's have a little walk over there. Now, I can't go too far away because my Wi-Fi will cut out, but this is my new trailer. I split this 3 ways with some friends of mine. It's an ultra light aluminum trailer. The fenders had a mod done to them by my friend to quick release them so you can get out the, you know, open the doors up. But 4 tie down points, perfectly mini size, as you guys can tell, and my truck pulls it wonderfully. So I'm gonna set this camera back up on the tripod for the moment and unload my Mini real quick. Now, once I get the Mini unloaded, you guys can ask questions. You know, if you guys have any suggestions of things to look at, feel free to post them now. And what I'll do is when I walk back over here, I'll review those and we can tackle it together on the car. So give me like 10 minutes while I unload the car here. All right, so got lots of suggestions here. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I am going to back this down now. The tire on the front is kind of held on with a strap, and it's super, super scary and totally not safe. So I'm going to go really slow. Hopefully we can get this down in here, and you know, not too much fuss, not too much problem. Let's see. All right, that came off without any fuss. I'm very happy about that. I was really worried that I was moving it around my friend's shop while right after I picked it up, and it kept popping out. The threads are definitely stripped on that tie rod, so every time I'd move it, the tie rod would pop back out. I'd have to get back underneath there and cobble it together. But yeah. Let's hit the front side of this car. I'm going to move the tripod, so it might get a little jumpy here for a minute while I set this over here. Alrighty. Get that set up. Is that about the right spot? Yeah. So you can see this is the strap I have right now, and I kind of have it finagled around the subframe because I couldn't get the bolt to stay threaded and to stay connected. Although right now it actually is threaded by some miracle of the fates. The strap is doing the majority of the work of holding the wheel forward and into its correct placement of tie roddy goodness. I don't really know how to explain that, but let's jack up the car. We'll get this wheel off. There's only 2 lugs in it. I only left 2 in there while I was troubleshooting this. And we'll see what the damage is. Fingers crossed, hopefully it's not too bad. Okay. Alrighty, so Let me get my little rolly stool. It's going to be easier for me than doing this the whole time, I think. Okie dokie. So, as you can see, it's morning coffee time here in the United States. Holy shit, that's still really hot. So, I'm not gonna have any coffee yet. Okie dokie. So, my tools have been in a bag. I guess you guys don't really need to know about that. Never mind. Okay, got all my tools here. Gonna delicately lay these out real quick. Perfect. So, if you guys have any specific questions and you feel like contributing to the channel, there is a super chat. You can donate money for questions you ask. It does really help me out, and I'm obviously going to have to pay for a lot of repairs here, which I'm more than happy to show you guys how to do on the channel. But don't worry, I still answer questions even if you don't pay for them. Alrighty. So, first glance, let me bring the tripod over so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay, where are you guys? That's my crotch. There we go. So, what we're looking at here is the damage. So you can see this is where the wheel actually contacted the inner fender here. I'm gonna pop my head in there. I'm not gonna throw you guys around in there. It does look like we got a little fender damage. Can actually see it right here. Although, looking at this, this is just this inner fender right here, which is great news. It didn't actually mess up the like main wheel well, although it did have some contact. That appears to be okay, but we do have a little bit of marring, a little bit of, well, it exposed some of the rust that's down there. Don't look at my rust. And up in here, it's all good. Thankfully that is all good. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna scroll through some of these comments real quick so that we can kind of start self-diagnosing this together. So we're looking at our whole hub assembly here. And first thing I got is bottom ball joint. Bottom ball joint appears to be okay. That didn't actually make contact with the ground. The wheel was able to maintain and keep itself raised up. Drive shaft, looking at that now, has a little bit of marring. You can see where it contacted the subframe. But as far as the boots go, as far as the inner CV goes, that is all good. No problems there. And we do have nice smooth pivot. Can actually do it by hand, which is great. Let's see what else we have here. Yeah, so tie rod, you can actually see the straps here. This I do see a comment about the straps. The way I did this is I kind of looped it through the front subframe over the main middle joist of the front subframe, and then grabbed onto the lower arm back here. This one right down here, you can see. And what the strap is doing is the work of pulling the whole bottom of the hub assembly kind of this way and pulling this tie rod. I was really hoping I could reattach it, but the threads are just totally stripped. So let's see, what else do we have here? Second half, my mini is stuck. I think it's the drum brakes. If you want to email me, MadMax, classicminidiy@gmail.com, I'm happy to help diagnose that with you a little bit more in depth. Yeah, so basically the strap just acted as the tie rod for the very, very minimal movement. I'm talking like from the garage to my trailer, from my trailer to the garage. You know, no excessive fuss there. Etchet England, thanks for joining. Alrighty, so let's disconnect this strap here, and there we go. Loosen that up, and we'll probably see a little bit of movement here if the bolt doesn't hold. All right. Surprisingly, that bolt is holding. Now, I know for sure that this tie rod's going to need to get replaced, so let's go ahead and just take that off. The ball joints even look okay. Nothing looks bent, nothing looks askew. I'm actually really pleased. I was not expecting it to be in that good a shape. All right, what do we have? That looks to be a 1/2 inch. All right, 16ths, just double check. Oh. Now, if you guys have not used a ratcheting like spanner like this or wrench, it is the bee's knees. Let me tell you, it's super, super convenient, and I strongly recommend it to anybody who's looking to get some new tools. Retrospect, I probably should have loosened this nut here before I took that strap off, because it was kind of keeping tension off of it. Would have made it a lot easier. Oh well. Oh yeah, so as I'm undoing this bolt, you can actually feel the threads dropping and skipping off of this thing. So yeah, this tie rod is totally kaput. There we go. Now once I get this off, I can actually show you guys where the damage lies, the main damage. Hoping that fender can just kind of be bent back into place. The nice thing about the Mark I is that fender piece right over there is removable, and so that you can get to the external hinges. And so your wheel well is a little smaller, but so there we have our tie rod. And so, okay, randomly behind the camera, I will just call this out real quick. A cicada, which if you don't know, you might be able to hear them in the background. Oh, just collided with a car. So you can see here, there we go. See that right there? That's part of the damage. But then these threads are just totally toast. It's actually kind of hard to see in the video, but they are just wrecked. And this rubber bushing's not too bad. I guess it could probably use a new one. Might as well refresh those. So this tie rod is one of the heavy duty tie rods. I am reasonably confident that had I not had one of these heavy duty ones, it probably would have bent. I don't know if that would have been better or worse, thinking about it now, but yeah, this is the heavy duty tie rods. I think they're produced by Benny Spares. I picked up mine from 7 Mini Parts, and I'm going to be picking up another pair from 7 Mini Parts, so not going to be blue anymore. Let's see, what else do we have? Mad Max getting some recommendations. Sean C joining in. Thanks for joining the live stream. I think that it's time for some coffee. Hopefully it's not too hot now. So I would say, as far as issues go and as far as damage goes, this could have been a lot worse. Even the front connecting point for the actual tie rod over here is not bent. It's not damaged. It does have a little scrape on it, but I think that was actually me that did that. So let's head into the garage. And so Etched England, this coffee is classic mini DIY. No, I'm just kidding. It's not my coffee. This is from a grocery store nearby us called Whole Foods, and it's a Vienna roast. It's so good. Harvey Weeks asks, how is your tire sidewall? Let's have a look. David C, while I'm pulling that up. The short story is that someone cut me off, ran me into a curb, ate my tie rod, broke it off, or at least just broke the connection. Guy rolled down his window like he was gonna help, and then he just waved and smiled and drove away. And so, yeah, that's pretty cool. Cool stuff. Alrighty, so the tire is actually looking all right. I mean, you can see this is where it came into contact with the curb. What I'll probably end up doing, I have a full-size spare in the back of the car. I'm probably just gonna switch this this wheel and tire. This will be my spare now, because it's not unusable. It's just ugly. So that'll go into the trunk. Sean C asks, Cole, how many sugars do you take in your coffee? I drink my coffee 100% black, no sugar, no milk. It's the best way to drink it. All right, let's take a little walk into the garage here and we can do a short Q&A if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask, or we can talk about the crash some more. Gotta set my tripod back up so you guys aren't just staring at my crotch. Although maybe a couple of you guys would like that, especially Alex Toon. Alrighty, almost. One more leg. All right. Tony Sub says, MED Engineering makes a very strong rod you should check out. I think that it's the same rod that most of the other mini parts suppliers sell. That said, I'll have a look at it and see if, you know, no point in although what I had on there was really strong. You know, if I'm gonna replace it, maybe replace it with something cool. Let's see here. Pixp says story time. Yeah, so I think most of the people who are in the stream right now probably know what happened already. I just explained a second ago. Etched England says, got to shoot, good luck with sorting the few bits, but Cole, Sean speaks, talk to Sean now. U2 says, coming in late, Cole, ouch, can you re-describe what happened? Your mom is glad there will be no crotch staring. Sean C, have you thought about a dash cam, Cole? I have them in all my cars. So that's a really good question. I've wanted to put a dash cam in my Mini for years. I have one in my truck. I've had one in every modern car I have. I just haven't taken the time to wire one up because I want it to be fully concealed. but this is as good as reason as any. So after I repair the damage, I'm going to be buying a dash cam. I'll do an install video on that one too. Jack Thomas, hello, thank you for joining. All right, so for those of you who haven't been in the stream since it started, let me draw you a diagram. You guys are going to get the best description of all of what happened. All right, so this might be mirrored. Sorry in advance if it is. Let's see, get that out of the way. There. Alrighty, so we drive on the right side of the road in the United States of America, and we were coming up to an intersection. So this is a straight lane, and then we had 2 lanes of turning like that. I was in the right-hand lane. The person who cut me off was in the left lane, so I'm coming up right here, down this lane, and Dude Man in the other lane cuts over into my lane, driving me into the curb. I hit the curb, tie rod breaks, pops out. He slows down, looks at me, opens the window, says, hey, you know, he has a look like he's about to ask me if I'm okay, if he's gonna like exchange insurance, do all those things. He smiles, waves, and just drives away. And I'm cussing. I'm angry at this point. I'm livid. You know, I wasn't mad when he was gonna stop because honest mistake, he didn't see me, and cool, exchange insurance, get it over with, it's done. Well, because he drove off, it becomes a hit and run here in the United States. I filed a police report. The best part is that the guy was driving a company vehicle with a phone number on the side. I took a photograph of the company vehicle and the license plate. So hopefully I won't have to share that with everybody here, and we won't have to publicly shame them or anything. And they'll just be willing to cover the repairs of my car. I don't want, I'm not trying to extort anybody. I just want my repairs covered, and we move on. But we'll see. I've contacted them very calmly, told them what happened. We'll see what happens. All right, what do we have here? YouTube BJP12, Jim from New York City. Yes, I remember leaving a sticker on your car. That's very cool. Thanks for joining the live stream. I was actually up there with my mom when we were up there. Pretty cool stuff. Such a small world. The Gentleman Motor Racing Team asks, is that an ammo box on your shelf for home defense only? Yeah, it's actually a gift from a friend. Let me grab it down. I think that there's just mini parts in there right now, which wouldn't do too much in defending a home, but we can see what's in there. Oh, it's heavy. What did I put in here? Holy moly. Oh, it's old engine stand brackets. That's why it's so heavy. And some leads. The stuff you find. I used to carry this around in my Mini, but it made too much noise rattling around. U2 says, did you have any undercarriage scrape or did you stay off the ground? Thankfully, the actual main floor pan of the car was off of the ground. That was totally okay. But the inner fender right behind, or right in front of the door, where the hinges are, that got a little bent and scraped. That'll have to get some repair done. Damn, this coffee is so good this morning. What are the questions you guys got for me? Now that the diagnosis of the car stuff is done, I was really excited. I was actually on my way down to a friend's house who has a lift, who is sharing that space with me. It's the one I bought the trailer with. Ooh, excuse me. I was gonna do all sorts of odd jobs videos. I was really excited about that. I hadn't done an odd jobs video in ages, and now not gonna do it. Just gotta fix my car first. David C says, how long have you had your Mini? Let's see here. I think it's been about 8 or 9 years now, give or take. So you two, I actually already had the thicker adjustable tie rods. I'm gonna go grab the one that I just took off the ground. For those of you who haven't been in this live stream, I can show you the damage. Hang on just a sec. All right. So there's that tie rod. It was powder coated blue and everything. I'm gonna have to get them re-powder coated. It's a shame. But the threads, it's really hard to see in the video, but they're totally scraped and just demolished. That's where my failure was. Wow. Dean says, lucky that it's only the tie rod. I agree with that. It could have been so much worse. Although, with this all apart like this, I might take this opportunity to replace the ball joints. They're a little older, and I kind of want to try out, I know they're a little bit more expensive, but I really want to try those fully encased non-serviceable ones. Or maybe they are serviceable, but you don't have to shim them. They're already pre-packed. I'm really curious about those. You know, being able to just bolt it right on sounds really appealing. PixP says, any estimate on how much you spent on your Mini? Oh, this one always gives me a little bit of heartburn. I'm gonna turn on my fan real quick. Let me know if it's too loud. So I've had the Mini about 8 years. I bought it originally for $1,500 US up in Canada. And at the time, it was a mess. I mean, the floors were totally rotted out. The engine actually was running and in good shape, but I didn't know it. I ended up taking it apart before even testing it. I was a bit of a noob at that point. And I would say, as of right now, I've probably spent close to $20,000 on the car, all said and done. You know, plus or minus a couple thousand. And granted, this has spanned out over the course of 8 or 9 years. And I do daily drive the Mini, so I restored it to a really, really high spec, not exactly like mint show perfect original spec. And then I've been driving it since then, so it gets your you know, regular wear and tear on it. Giggle Bear Vlog says, hi, I'm from Malaysia, thanks for joining in. That's a long way to join in, but although I guess it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or is it later than that? Yvonne, you have made it to a live stream. I think it's because I did it in the morning. Well, no, because your best time is in the afternoon, isn't it? Good Lord, it's almost midnight there. Thank you for joining in, though. You have any questions you want to ask? U2 says, might have been a godsend that the tie rod sacrificed itself, less or no lower hub or lower arm damage. Yeah, I'm actually kind of thinking about this, and the fact that those threads strip so easily does make me kind of wonder how long that's been loose, how long it's been damaged. When I put the engine back in about 4 or 5 months ago, this was tight and this was happy, so I don't know if it worked itself loose or something, but the fact that it failed while I was going, you know, 10 miles an hour is a godsend, because if it had failed on the highway, oh man, I shudder to think what would have happened. Let's see, the Gentleman Motor Racing Team, what is a respectable time of night to stop making noise such as grinding? I usually use the 10 o'clock rule of thumb, but I generally will ask my nearby neighbors on that prior to doing it. So one of the biggest things I've had to deal with in this neighborhood, I don't have an HOA, which is a homeowners association, but there is some neighbor around here who keeps calling code enforcement, which is our kind of like county code. It's like county HOA, the more stricter rules. On the car being up on jack stands and things like that, despite it being covered, despite it being insured, despite it being registered, really chaps my ass, if I'm honest with you guys. And since then, and really before that too, my closest neighbors, I will always say, hey, generally I try and grind or work on car stuff not too late, 9:30 or 10 o'clock, but then on the weekends I'll sometimes ask them if it's cool if I work a little later, and if it doesn't bother them. Yvonne says I need to catch up as I see the damage. I'll catch up with you on Discord with the other patrons and see what's, and I'll kind of explain the whole dealio, that because I've explained it like 3 or 4 times already on here. I don't want to bore people with it, repeating myself. Jude and Bella's granddad. Hi Cole, this happened to me in my 66 Mini. I went up the curb and it smashed my gear stick conversion unit mounted underneath. I can't post my comments. Yeah. If I'm pretty sure that YouTube would cancel my channel or could delete my channel if they knew the amount of swear words that I was yelling outside my car when this happened. It was mostly not at the car though. It's not the car's fault. It was the guy who ran me off the road. He got a mouthful. If he had stayed at the scene of the crime. Giggle Bear says 9:38 p.m. there. Okay, well I was a little bit off. 1 p.m. was a little, it's obviously morning here. I'm drinking my coffee. Flying Ambo says no vibration before it let go. No, because it was in good shape up until it hit the curb. I think that just the sheer force of it hitting the curb, maybe it hit at just the right angle. It just yanked those threads out, which is a testament to how kind of crummy those threads were, I think. Flying Ambo says, same neighbors that made you move your car. So I have no idea which neighbors called the code enforcement about me having the car on jack stands, safe and stable. But I try and be a little bit respectful of the people around me, but I need a little bit of mutual respect too. So let's see, what else do we have here? Pixp says, lucky you had 10-inch wheels or else you might have scraped the precious mini lights. Yeah, thankfully, I'm a big fan of these 10-inch wheels, especially now that I had that bigger sidewall. I think it saved a lot of the wheel there. These aren't real mini lights, just to be clear. So they're not, it wouldn't have been the end of the world if it was damaged. U2 says, if it was on the highway, no more cold DIY videos. Eek, I'd hate to live in that world. I would hate to not live in that world if you get my meaning. Now, I've put a lot of safety stuff in the Mini. It does have a roll cage and stuff. I am hopeful that if that ever happened, it would be, help me in some way. Are the sealed ball joints you were on about the Metro ones, as they require Metro hubs, which will ruin the Mini's handling as the geometry is different? So, there are the Metro hub ball joints, but those are not the ones I'm talking about. There is a company in Japan that has started making those the ones you don't need to service for the original Mini hubs. So you can purchase them for the existing Mini hub, and it just bolts right up. So those are the ones that I want to try. Yvonne says, did you report him? Oh, you bet I reported him. I called the police. Police came out, we filed a police report, gave them their company name, their license plate number, all that stuff. And then I called the company directly. It's the end of the day on Friday, they weren't there. Left a very calm message, that's not sarcasm, I was extremely calm. Explained the facts explicitly to them and said, call me back, let's talk about this and get this sorted out. So hopefully they get back in touch with me. David C. says, I've had my Mini since 2013, imported it from the UK, family loves it. How can you not love a Mini? They're awesome. Flying Ambo says, my neighbors complain after 8:30. That is that's a bummer because I do a lot of my work like in the evening up until about 10. Although I will say that all of my neighbors are non-children neighbors. The ones directly behind me have like 74 million children who scream and bark, and they have dogs and they bark all the time. So I'm not really bothered by them. You know, if they're going to be loud, I'm going to be loud. But my next door neighbors both are just couples. One who had children that's moved out, and the other one who's just like my wife and I. We're just not kids people, and so I can make some noise, and they don't generally get bothered by it. Richard Sale says, really enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining, Richard, and thanks for the kind words. Hayden says, did you cry? I know I would have. They were tears of anger at the time. I'm not really too worried about it because I'm comfortable enough to know that I can fix all the stuff that is wrong on it, and aside from the body work, but you know, at that point I would have filed an insurance claim, which I'll still be doing, but yeah. U2 says, good luck with both the repair and chasing down the cost from the company of that bad driver. Cole heading out, so gotta drop, but great chatting, stay well, and God bless. Thanks for joining. Corey says, move out of the country. I have no neighbors to complain about. Move out to the country. Yeah, it's a catch-22. I gotta have my fast internet. You know, I am a web developer, and I do need my tech. It's part of me. So if I move too far out into the country, I'll lose my fast internet, and I can't do that part of my job. But then it's all mini stuff, so maybe that'd be better. I don't know. Flying Ambo says, my kids love driving in my Mini. They just want to go anywhere and pick up their friends. They hate the vinyl seats. They get so hot. Yes, oh my God, the vinyl seats get so hot. So the seats that I have in the Mini right now have tears in them. Just from years of use, I use these, and for a little while there I was a little bit bigger than I am now. I've lost a lot of weight recently, and so I think since they have tears in them, I'm going to do a cloth vinyl combination. I've heard that if you make the center portion of the seat a cloth, it's going to breathe. It'll breathe a lot better than the vinyl. So the vinyl on the outside, and you know, some sort of really cool pattern, or maybe some solid color cloth in the middle. I think it's going to look really good. It'll cost some money though, so I've been kind of putting it off, and got to put it off even farther now. Sean C. says, Cole, I have a subframe to remove. Chat to you later, bud. Get that done. I want to see you at International Mini Meet. So Yvonne says, Newton. I have the Newton commercial carpets already in my car. But the seats are like a Corbeau knockoff. I don't think they're the original ones or like real ones. So I'm going to just get those reupholstered at a local place. Yeah, Pixp, I'll bring you out to the car. Hang on just a sec. Let me just take a little bit more coffee here. Okie dokie. This is my wife's woodworking side of the garage. It's a little bit of a mess right now. That's my fault. Okie dokie. So, car's jacked up as you can see right now. But the interior is not really original at all. The seats were totally toast. In fact, I think I only had one seat when I bought it. So I knew that I was going to get new seats. You can see the cuts in the fabric there. That's from my large butt. Newton commercial carpets. These are pretty old carpets. I will need some new floor mats soon. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen it, I did do a video on my new Rally Dash. This thing, I cannot express to you guys how wonderful it is driving the car and looking at that all the time. These door cards that I have are from Optimize Automotive. They're in the UK. I'm really happy with these. They bulge because I have some fat, like jute sound deadening in there. I'm going to take that out at some point and redo that with a little bit more refined material. But the door cards are great. In the back here, I have my third brake light, which is just a little piece of wood with an LED strip on it. my two speakers, those are my rear speakers. And then my front speakers are obviously in the rally dash there. Those are the bee's knees. I cannot express to you. I'm really happy with everything in my interior right now, if I'm honest with you guys. Now I want to show you guys a little Easter egg in my car. I don't think I've ever shown this on the channel, so you guys are going to be the first ones to see it. The bottom side of my seat here, this is the way it was when I got it. It's a custom seat retainer in the back, I would call it. It's a yardstick. When I bought my car in Canada, first time I took that seat out, I saw it, and it's so that it kind of locks down into the lip down here. Oh, whew. Sorry, it's a weird angle. I'm going to read some of these comments. Flying Ambo says, make sure you keep the original seat vinyls for a pattern for the upholsterer. Yeah, they're just kind of straight lines. It's nothing too fancy, though. David C. asks, what's my favorite upgrade? Ooh, that's a really, really tough one. My favorite recent one, it's super tiny. It's funny, the things that make you the happiest. This horn button press right here is new. I bought it, and the old one was just glued in, and this one is fresh and clean. And here, I'll test the horn for you. Yep, that's my horn. It's awesome. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna stand up. My total favorite end of the day upgrade for my car, as far as the interior goes, I think it's got to be the dash. I am so happy with that dash. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my my Osmo, my little gimbal right now. Ew. Let's see what else we have here. Dash looks great, thank you. Thanks, Yvonne. Jason says, we just watched the Rally Dash episode. Very nice looking dash. The cutouts were a bit sketchy. We don't dare remove my mates as we're not sure that we could reinstall it. It's a 70s rally car. Yeah, thankfully the guy who makes these, the link is in my Rally Dash video, makes these so that they are super easy to remove and put back in. It's mind-blowing how well this fits, and it's just super, super good. I'd really never want to cut metal that I'm going to be looking at like that again. It was super nerve-wracking. Whoops. David C. says, absolutely love the dash. Do you have a video on it? I need to redo mine. Same with the center speedo. Yes, it's just called Rally Dash Mark II, version 2, something like that. Flying Ambo says, you can't hear the radio over 80 kilometers an hour anyway. I can assure you that this radio is loud as hell, and that one I can hear. I also have, it's a little bit of a mess back here right now, please ignore. I also have a 10-inch sub back here with a custom enclosure that I made. Sits right over the wheel well. It's it's probably not like the most efficient, use of, or rather, it's not the most efficient sound profile, but it is the most efficient use of space, and that's what I care the most about. Pixp says, might need a second horn so others know you're angry. I actually have some new horns that I was going to test out to see what's louder. Yvonne says, yep, it's a single compressed air horn, compact, so the air compressor sits right on the horn. Couldn't think of the word. And it's about the size of my fist. Robert Britt says, looks like a short shift. What's it like? So it's actually not a short shift. It is a CAD standard ratio shifter for the rod change gearbox. I was back and forth about whether or not I wanted a short shift, and ended up deciding not to because I daily drive this. I didn't want to add kind of any finicky stuff with it. And so CAD had a really nice, my shifter that I was going to use was cut in half and damaged. I don't have it anymore apparently, but I was going to use that, couldn't use it, and so I'm like, well, I have to buy a new one. Do I want to buy an original spec one, or do I can buy this CAD one? It's really nice, and one of my favorite parts is it has a little collar on it So you can, when you're switching into reverse, you just pull the collar up and then you can shift it down into reverse instead of like lifting the shifter up, which is really awkward on the original rod change boxes. So big fan of that, big fan. All my friends tell me, biggest fan. That was my Donald Trump impression in case you guys were wondering. Pixp says that would be overkill. My Mini has a horn that sounds so awful. It's great. Almost sounds like grinding gears. Jason says, how are the bonnet pins holding up? Well, I can show you that. I have a mobile phone here that I can bring you guys out there and show you. So the pin plates, I switched the plates for a different set, one that that looks a little bit nicer and is a little bit more robust. You can see here it's raised, but you can also see I need to tighten this. It shouldn't be that loose. I want it to be a little bit more taut. And the plates themselves are kind of like etching a line in here. And I think that's just from me putting this pin back and forth or from it rattling around and bumping it. All said and done though, it's been awesome. Super convenient, just pop these out. I will say the only time that it's not convenient is when you don't have anywhere to put the hood and set it down on the ground. I don't like doing that so much if I don't have to. Oh, okay. Michael McCormick says, show us the damage, please. Okay. We assessed the damage at the beginning of the stream. So for those of you who haven't been in it, tie rod is out now. Excuse me. Tie rod is out now. The threads are totally stripped on this. That's issue number 1. Let's take a walk back out, and I'll show you guys the rest of the damage. Turbo Cooper Sport says, dude, I'm gutted for you. Hope all the damage isn't too bad and is all relatively straightforward. Steve, thank you for joining. I absolutely love your channel. The damage is not too bad. So the actual connecting point for my tie rod has just this little etch in it. I think that's actually from me trying to reconnect it. Drive shaft is okay. Lower ball joint is okay. Kind of hard to see there. Upper ball joint appears to be fine as well. Most of the damage is back here. You can see this is where my tire collided with the inner fender here. Surprisingly didn't bend it or anything. Have a little bit of surface rust, but I think that was already here. This is the primary amount of body damage. Sorry, camera's kind of going wild and crazy. Wheel definitely hit this, bent it up, but luckily this is a inner sheet. So this comes out, you can see that there are bolts here, and there's some more up there. This is so that you can get access to the external hinges that are on the Mini, on the Mark 1s, which, man, mine are really, they need some work. But yeah, that's the damage there. And you can even see this is the original color of my Mini, this yellow right here. So funny. So I'll be able to bump that out, I think. Sure, I understand. Ugh. Siri needs to leave me alone. I should be able to bang that out and get it fixed up. So that's really the primary damage. It could have been a ton worse. I'm pretty lucky, I think. All right, I'm gonna sit back down here. So the reason I keep coming back in here is because it is starting to get really hot outside, and I have a fan in here. All right, let's see, what else do we have here? Flying Ambo says, have you ever had any experience with the 151 roller rockers on a rear near stock engine? Can I ask this at 7 Mini parts? I don't have any direct experience with them. I actually have never run roller rockers. I've just changed the cam. I would definitely recommend reaching out to them. Jack at 7 Mini Parts is awesome. He's super, super knowledgeable, and he'll be able to kind of explain to you what you need and what's actually going to work on your car, and whether you actually like need to upgrade that, if that's going to actually provide you any sort of tangible power benefits. Jason Roth says, does your shifter have reverse lockout? I was speaking to a hill climber and they said that they are essential. I like the idea of thrashing through the gears and not selecting reverse. Yes, it does. So there's a little retainer collar. It's the CAD standard ratio shifter, but it's got a little collar that you lift up, and it has a spring-loaded like thread that goes all the way down and lifts up a little pin that then allows you to shift it down into reverse. It's really cool, actually. It's like a modern car in that respect. It's like the only thing that's like a modern car on mine. Michael McCormick says, thank you for showing me. You're very welcome. Thanks for asking. Tony says, were you alone in the car when the accident happened? Yes, unfortunately I was alone in the car. So I don't have any additional witnesses that can kind of back up my story. We'll see if that comes to bite me in the butt. We'll see. Yvonne says, glad you're okay, sorry about the damage. So we're getting a tie rod install video next. Yes, you will be getting a tie rod install video. If anybody's listening and wants to get me some new tie rods, that'd be cool. I'm just kidding. These aren't actually that expensive. The heavy duty ones can be bought for about $50 US, which is great, and that's for a pair. So I'm actually, one thing that I do on all of my, one thing I do on all of my repairs on the car, especially when they're both sides or something that's symmetrical, I replace both at the same time. So if I ever have to replace the front right wheel bearing, I replace both wheel bearings so you have brand new sets on the front. Tie rods are going to be one of those things that I'm going to replace both, and then I'll have to get the car aligned again. Let's see here. Michael McCormick says, have you ever raced the Mini? Yes, I have raced the Mini, but I've not done, not like circuit racing. I did autocross. I've done a few autocross races in this car. It's so fun. It is so fun to run through an autocross race. Yeah, I guess that's considered a race. I would consider it a race. Flying Ambo says, need a dash cam. I'm always getting cut off on my Mini. Yeah, I have one in the truck, and it's a front and rear camera, and this is just evidence that I need to finally just pull the trigger and put one in the damn Mini. So there will be a video coming at some point for that. Yvonne says, okie dokie, catch you on Discord, 11 p.m. now. Thanks for doing the live video in the morning. Have a wonderful evening, Yvonne, and thanks for joining. Lapa says, what do you think about fixed ball joints, the ones that don't need oil once in a while? So I actually mentioned these a little bit earlier in the live stream, and I am really interested in trying them out. So this might be the best opportunity I have to just go ahead and replace them. There are two kinds. There's one that you can get that fits only the Metro style mini hubs. Sorry, Metro style disc hubs, not mini hubs. And then there are a set that fit the mini hub. The threaded section of your ball joint is a little bit different between those two. I was seeing if I had a ball joint that I could show you guys, but I don't. Yeah, it's just slightly different. One's bigger than the other, and so I need to get the ones for the Mini. The only thing that's been kind of limiting and like holding me back is that they are quite expensive. So I've been like, do I want to get them? And maybe they won't actually hold up to the test of time, but I might just pull the trigger and just do it and give it a shot. Then you guys will know. Corey says, do you do the alignment yourself? No. I've tried string alignment, and it's totally possible. I don't have the patience for it, and the machines that we have here in the US are much more accurate than me doing the strings. So for me personally, that is something that's worth spending the money on, because I just bring it over to the shop, they roll it up on there. There's this guy at the AAA auto care shop that's near my work, and he's Scottish, like really Scottish. If Sean C was still on here, I think he might send him a run for his money. But he knows these minis and does the alignment for me, and it's been really great. Jason Ruth says, have you had any big Mini 60 events? Well, for the 60th anniversary of the Mini, I decided to crash it into a curb. So I did do that. No, I'm just kidding. The beginning of the year has not been a big like Mini part of the year for me. I do have 2 big trips, one in August. I'm going to the International Mini Meet in Bristol, UK. So I'll be there, come say hi. We're gonna do like a Q&A with all the YouTubers on Sunday. I don't know what time yet, but you can come over, meet all of us, say hi, ask questions, do whatever. But I will be at that event, and then later on in the year, in October, we are going to be doing the Classic Minis United drive here in the United States. Classic Minis United is one of the largest Classic Mini only clubs here in the US. Usually it's about 50 to 100 cars, and we're all driving around the Appalachian Mountains here on the East Coast. Robert Britt says, what spec is your Mini engine and what's the horsepower? Hasn't been on a dyno yet. That's something that I am planning to do. There's a nice place here. It's actually a Mustang, a Ford Mustang centric dyno. But I'm gonna bring the Mini down there and get some power numbers for you guys at some point. But the spec of the engine, it's a 1293, so it's a little bit bigger. It's got an Evo 001 cam, an MED lightened and adjustable vernier gear, the timing gear. The head is ported and polished. It has bigger valves. And then the carburetor I have on it is an HS6. So never actually sold on the Mini, but made to, it's a standard SU carburetor, the same size as an HIF 44 carburetor, so 1 3/4 inch inlet size. It's got an MED filter on it. Trying to think if there's anything noteworthy. One thing that I am doing that is not on the car right now is I'm going to put this 123 distributor was on the car. I had a little bit of a mishap, and the cap came a little loose and it kind of wore down some of the leads in here, so it doesn't actually fire at the right time. So I ordered a new cap. That should be getting here relatively soon from 7 Mini Parts, and once that arrives, I'm going to put that 123 back in there because it's a fully electronic mappable distributor. William Smith says, I want you to crash that Mini into my face if you know what I mean. I think I could put together what you're trying to say. Pixp says, what's your opinion on coilovers? I have coilovers in my Mini, but don't know if I should need to reinforce the rear turrets. Just to be clear, are you talking about actual coilovers or the coil conversion kit? Zowski RS says, I crashed my Mini into a curb too. Steering went going around a wet roundabout. Yeah, we don't have very many roundabouts here in the U.S. So, unfortunately, I really prefer roundabouts to the standard cross intersection. It's a lot safer, aside from when it's wet and you crash it into the curb. William Smith says, I want that distributor. Yeah, I was really happy with it when it was on the car. It's pretty cool too. I'm actually going to pull this back out here. It's not open right now. I don't have my Allen keys in here right now, but this little cover gets undone and there's a dial inside that allows you to change the advance curve on it with the flick of a screwdriver. It's really cool. So this single distributor comes with all of the advance curves that you might get from buying individual distributors that would have only one advance curve on them, which is pretty cool, because then, it's like, well, that's kind of running like garbage. I don't have to buy a whole new distributor to fix that. Click, click, now it's a different advance curve and it runs great, So, big fan of that. Robert Britt says, standard ECU. There is no ECU on my car. It is a carbureted Mark I with no computer in it. The only computer that would live in it is that distributor once I put it in there, but it still doesn't need an ECU. It kind of just has pre-programmed advance curves in it. Flying Ambo says, off to bed. I'll keep an eye open for the next video. Keep an eye out. Thank you. There will be more. I'm going to do a more structured video on the repairs of this crash. But until then, thanks for joining in. Pixp says, I have the Spax coilover conversion kit, the one that replaces the standard rubber cones and dampers. Okay, so I'm not as familiar with those coilover kits and the stress that it puts on the upper turret back there. If I was just kind of like guessing, I would reinforce that turret, because if you think about it, that turret only had the force of the shock absorber on it prior to the coilover conversion. Whereas the major weight of the car sat on the cone inside the actual subframe, which is much stronger. So yeah, I think I would probably reinforce that if I was you. Robert Britt says, if you're coming to the UK, does that mean you've got lots of excess baggage charges taking all the cheap mini spares home? Man, I really... That's a good idea. I was only going to do a carry-on bag, but maybe I'll just bring a second bag and fill it just with mini parts and check it on the way home. I'm going to have to find a lot of parts that I just can't get in the US, though. They're going to have to be things that are really hard to find. I'm going to come steal all your parts, guys. Capo Carpetta says, hello everybody, how does the crash happen, Cole? One, the picture you shared on Facebook, the crash looked very bad. Luckily the damage doesn't seem to be as bad in the picture as in the picture. Yes. I've explained it a few times for the live stream, but the general idea is that someone cut me off, ran me into a curb, decided that it would be better not to stay at the scene of the crime, and just drove off. And so I'm left with a hit and run, a police report, and their license plate and company name, because I did take a photograph of that. And the damage is the tie rod, which is right back here on the table. The threads are totally stripped on it, so that's why well, it's stripped now. It wasn't stripped before I crashed. So that, and then there's a little bit of inner fender damage, but it's not something that I need to get repainted or rewelded or anything like that. I should be able to just bang the damage out. Robert Britt says, can give you company names if you need any for spares. Yeah, I'd love to. If you want to send me an email, classicminidiy@gmail.com. Karsten, thank you for joining. Hey Cole, looks like a mini thing happened to me as well. As well. Yeah, I think these just not very resilient tie rod build setup here. So you hit a curb and they just pop right out. But I think I'm gonna wrap up the live stream here. Been going for about 70 minutes right now. And I am ready to go get some breakfast. I've had my coffee and it is time to eat. I really appreciate everybody joining in here and asking questions and helping me diagnose this. If you guys have any additional questions, post them in the comments section after the live stream ends, or shoot me an email. Also, a big shout out to 7 Mini Parts, because I have sent them a message already. I'm going to be getting a set of these this tie rod from them. Granted, this time, I'm paying for it. They don't send me free stuff, but I am I'm gonna get a set of new tie rods. I'm gonna do an install video on that. I'm gonna repair the stuff. We'll get this Mini back on the road, but stay tuned for that video and check back for that. See if there's any other comments here. Karsten, I'll send you a message. I think that I've got everything covered, but I'll keep you in mind and I'll touch base with you here shortly. Karsten's in North Carolina with me. Jason Roos says, keep up the good work. 12:13 a.m. here in Australia. Well, thank you for joining in so early. Or, yeah, early. Late? Early? But thanks, everybody, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.